There'll be times when our ticket sales aren't strong, and we'll announce David Francisco match, and all of a sudden the tickets sell, right? And I say the only
Mm.
metrics I can listen to are the live buildings and the VOD
I
numbers.
think he meant ticket numbers.
He certainly ticks those boxes. For example, David Francisco is a heel to everyone, right?
Not
And
everyone.
David Francisco, I think David Francisco is a fascinating case study of Revolution Pro Wrestling and wrestling fans, right? And one thing I will
Mm.
say is he has a lot of people who write horrible things about him on the internet, right? One thing I will say, which I find so interesting, if you look at the wrestlers that have horrible things written about them, many of them portray heels on our professional wrestling shows, right? And it's almost like they don't like them because they're heels, right? And they're traditional heels in the sense of you're not going to find them at the merchandise table. You're not going to find them, pandering to fans.
Mm.
And they work as heels.
Who are these people who write horrible things? Oh, everyone has a right to an opinion. This is super important. Everyone has a right to an opinion. One of the best things that I do as a person. How arrogant did that sound? That's David Francisco coded if I've ever heard the sentence right. One of the best things that I ever do as a person is that I, at the end of the day, at its core, I ignore all feedback. Would that be a way to put it? Positive, negative. It is all valuable and not valuable at the same time. It is very weird to put it forward. You can't, in general, like overvalue one in favor of the other, be it the positive or the negative. You got to take it for where it is, right? I don't think people saying that they don't enjoy me in the ring is them being rude. Even the idea that people will make jokes at my expense and make a big personality of them making jokes at the expense of wrestlers to, in a specific social environment, entertain the people that they're sharing the space with. I don't even think that's bad. When I chose to be a pseudo public figure in the professional wrestling, I chose to put myself in this role where I am open to be judged by anyone at any time, and that comes with the territory. I can't have my cake and eat it too. You know, I am very comfortable with any judgment that is casted upon me, and I am able to I'm able to. No one is fully able to do that, but I feel like I have a good grasp on not. My self-worth is not predicated on what people say about me, both positive and negatively. Surely that doesn't happen all the time, but I'm lucky to be wired in a certain way where that happens most of the time.
There's a saying for that.
There's a saying for that.
Yeah, water off a duck's back.
Water off a duck's back. I feel like water off a duck's back is a little bit passive-aggressive. Because it's only on like negative feedback. That there's a certain thing of like, oh, I don't care if people say bad things about me. I only care about the good ones. And it's like, no, you have to weigh all of them in the same length of being super important for feedback logically, but being very not important at all for feedback emotionally.
Right.
You know? It's a weird stance, weird position to be in where both these things are right at the same time, right? But with that said, let's hear the nicest thing that Andy Quildan ever said about me. Because he thinks that I am too arrogant and he cannot say nice things about me to my face.
People are so desperate to be smart that they can't see that they dislike someone because they're actually a heel. They're actually pressing their buttons from a wrestling perspective that is making them boo them, right? And I look at that, and the reason I say this is because I look at the reactions that David gets, and I hate it as well, because you need to understand the character of David Francisco is a real-life David Francisco, right?
Right.
And I thought the real-life David Francisco was a contender David Francisco. I'm not even, look, this isn't me trying to sell a storyline here. I promise you, this is 100%, right? I thought the David Francisco that was in the contenders division, which was tail between his legs, humble, just wanted to work hard and just wanted to work his way to the top, was real life David Francisco. It turns out David Francisco did not just have his tail between his legs, he had his tongue beneath his teeth as well, because he was biting his tongue, right? Because the second he left the contenders division, the real David Francisco came out, and he was, for lack of a better term, uncontrollable.
I gotta chip in on this because this is important. I keep mentioning The number one lesson that I've learned when I was a contender, and the lesson that everyone was trying to teach me when I was a contender, a lesson I feel like Joshua James didn't learn, and it's the thing that separates me from him, and to be fair, separates me from any other contender in the history of the contender division, and makes me the greatest contender in the history of the contenders division, is the fact that, and I've been very coy about what that lesson is. But that was the lesson. That's the lesson that I learned. You know? Like, having your head down and working hard is not the thing that brings you success in pro wrestling. Sure, you have to do it, but that is not the key to success in professional wrestling. It's very funny that the moment that I stop doing that and I become something else, in Andy's mind, I become my real me, I'm not going to relitigate my past, I suddenly find myself with way more success. I mean, early this year in 2025, I was the undisputed British heavyweight champion. I am still the actual undisputed British heavyweight champion, right? All these people talking about wanting to go for the title in 2025 is going to be their year. I did it before any of them.
He believes his own hype. He believes he is the centerpiece, or should be the centerpiece of everything. The swagger that he walks with is very much real.
Once Andy Quildan said that the number one thing that is important to become a successful professional wrestling is confidence. And now he sees someone that has confidence and he's like, oh, this is happening. I mean, to be fair, he's not saying that I shouldn't have it. He's just bringing up the fact that this is the real me. Chat, do you agree? Am I really this person? Come on.
Everything about him is kind of... It's not, they say the best wrestling is wrestling which, where art imitates life. And I think that's what this David Francisco character is. But anyway, back to my original point with him is he's recently turned to the side of good because of all the reactions he's been getting in Southampton.
And Coventry. And Sheffield. And London.
And also find it mental as well. Some fans, they really they're like, these Southampton shows, I can't watch them. Like, just this, that, and the other, right? But David, like the people who actually go to the Southampton shows, they for whatever reason they've taken him in as a cult hero, which has only grown the ego further, right? But it's resonated, and there'll be times, and I hate to say this, there'll be times when our ticket sales aren't strong, and we'll announce David Francisco match, and all of a sudden the tickets sell, right? And I say the only metrics I can listen to are the live buildings and the VOD numbers, right? So he certainly ticks those boxes. But anyway, because of this this love that the fans have for him, which I never anticipated, again, it's another example of having to be on your toes and change it up a little bit. He's got into this tag team with JJ Gale. And as both are so loved in Southampton, they've become the Sons of Southampton, right? SOS. Do you get it? Right. But like
cheer and sort of eat your heart out.
So they're the Sons of Southampton, the two hometown boys, and David had to work to get JJ to trust him, and JJ's now trusting him, and then they go into this big Revolution tag in our last show at the 229, and David Francisco finds himself on the team of all the baby faces, right? And all the baby faces still fucking hate him, right? Because he's a prick, right? They see him for what he really is, right? So they all still hate him, but he's being a good guy in the match and saying, I'm not like you think I am, guys. And JJ's like, oh, he's not. And then when David does something egotistical, JJ's like, I'm sorry about him, guys. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not being a prick. I just am not conforming to, I don't know. I'm telling Michael Oku, I'm yelling at Michael Oku for losing my title. And now someone else, a second person, has my title. Oh, that's a headache for another time, right? Not just to us, because the shows we go to en masse will be going to anyways. There you go, see? Exactly. You'd be there regardless, right? Because you love professional wrestling. But hey, if my matches get announced and I can sell tickets, then I know I'm not the only person that's doing that, but I mean, come on.
It's not like, JJ's not completely sold on him, but what they're doing is working. And so it's just like an interesting dynamic, right? And we don't forget what's happened before. We don't forget that Michael Oku and David Francisco don't get along with each other, and that's never going to change unless something actually changes before our eyes. Right?
Yeah, he apologizes
So I
for
think
his role in not giving me a fair shot at my title. Anyways, he's going to go and talk about other people, and that's not as relevant for the conversation as it is here, you know?